here, Sunday night rugby action. Hounds Legion live on ESPN2. With myself, Will Hooley, and USA Rugby Hall of Famer Mike Petrie filling in for the commentary for now. As we just wait to see if this was given as a try.
The team's by Chicago. It is all but the player has short and has reached out and placed the ball. There is no issue. He is allowed to do that. Chicago lose their challenge. They have one challenge remaining.
So it was Chicago Hounds then that had that challenge. It was not correct. They didn't get away with it, and as we just discussed there, Mike Petrie, you're allowed to do that. That is why the try was scored.
Absolutely, and like I said, Luke Rogan was standing there with a front row seat to it. He might have come up just short. It looked like maybe he might have been on the edge of that chalk, of that white line, but nonetheless, he gets that second movement, which kicks him over the line, and that was an outstanding play by California. And again, this challenge was laid down by Chicago, but now they lose that challenge. I think they might want that one back later on in this game if this one stays as tight as we think it will.
Bertrand Milne, who had an excellent kicking game last week, kicked lots of meters, and that win against the Free Jacks is now the counter-attack led by Chris Hudson-Beck into Brock Webster, the former New England Free Jack, first season here at the Hounds. Tell you who is not his first season at the Hounds, that is Mac Jones, the most capped Hounds player in their franchise history. Gets it on now to the wide channel, Zabirek, who's come on the field only recently, the replacement hooker. Charlie Abel now makes a dive forward, playing with a bit more pace. Rumble, the captain, rumbles forward, and really nicely now towards the Legion 22. Thomas Casares.
You've landed on top. You've landed on top.
Now just around that halfway mark. Nathan Denhu, another one of those new signings as well, getting on the ball. Plenty of carries.
Michael, let go!
And roughly some pretty good go forward as now Hounds inside the Legion's red zone. Charlie Abel once more getting through a lot of work in this passage play. The detailer Petty takes the carry. And once more, Chicago Hounds just keeping hold of the ball, more than happy to stay patient as they just creep their way forward inside this red zone of California Legion. Devoto pokes it forward. Taken there by Gonzalo Bertrand, but because he took the ball before the try line and then was taken over the try line, it looks like that will be a scrum to Chicago, so a good kick there from Ollie Devoto.
It was a fantastic kick from who's playing right now. We talk about momentum as a word that we've thrown around a little bit, and so far, these teams have been trading that momentum back and forth. Chicago started with it, they scored. They handed it off to California, they scored. Now Chicago knocking on the doorstep again. This is exactly what we expected, though, Will. Both of these teams, as we mentioned, full lineups, star-studded on both sides. This is what people want to see on ESPN.
Joining us here live on ESPN2. It is week 3 of Major League Rugby action. These two sides coming off the back of a win last week. Legion beating the Free Jacks, the reigning champions. And then Chicago travelled to Anthem and got a strong win there. Their forwards were excellent that day. Will they be excellent again? Lucas Rumble, the captain, looks to get over from short. He does, over the line. And Chicago Hounds are back on the scoreboard. And like you said, Mike Petrie, they might have a man in the sin bin, but they have turned it around for a second score. You can see what it means for the Hounds.
A little bit of a scrap up afterwards, and that's Lucas Rumble. That's a captain's try right there, Will, if you've ever seen one. Your team is in a bit of a hole. You were backpedaling. You were under so much pressure from all these penalties. And look at it. Take it onto yourself and just go forward. Get your ears back and have it going. I mean, I gotta be honest, that's the exact same spot that they scored a little bit earlier with 3. Did that kick right at the corner. Lucas Rumble. They did sideline. If you look at midfield back outstanding footwork from the number 8 at the base of the scrum.
One of them that you mentioned, the leadership that he can bring.
said, Hilsenbeck's looks a little bit like he's taking a little bit back on your speed. You might have to get
Doing it here on ESPN2 for Sunday Night such a try-scoring machine in Major League Rugby. The USA captain and the California Legion captain. Webster darts, moves it to the width now to Devoto. Ollie Devoto, the former Exeter Chiefs player from the English Premiership and a former England international. You can't really get much more experience. Such a quality operator playing at 12 today. As Hilsenbeck whips it out to the try scorer, Lucas Rumble, who gets over the gain line once more inside the Legion half. Lepetti there. A former San Diego Legion player, now in Hounds colours. Otti Pipiletti gets an offload away to his support. Rumble. How many times has he been on the ball? He has carried so hard in this opening 25 minutes. Out the back to Hilsenbeck. Shooter, but gets it away from Ollie Devoto to Abel. As now the Hounds just hold it with their handling. Great handling to Mark O'Keefe, who beats one and beats another and moves inside now. The 22 for Chicago Hounds. There's some space on the edge if they can get it there. To Haas. To Mason Fletch. Mike Petrie talked about how important he is to this Hounds team, the Canadian international. Sares. There's a lot of work that's been done by this front five of the Hounds, but they keep going forward. Hilsenbeck takes this one in. Multiple phases now from Chicago. Ruben Haas sets it. Fletch. Another strong carry coming through the midfield. It's momentum that is building and building for the Hounds. They're looking for their third try. De Haas tells the big guys, come get it. Only 3 meters out. Ruben De Haas flicks it over the top. Mark O'Keefe, can he finish? Tackle comes in from Darm, but it won't be enough. Tavila Lepetti gets over the former St. Mary's alumni.
Đã tìm được nhau quá khó để giờ này mình mất nhau không lý do anh không chấp nhận giờ phải đứng nhìn em quay lưng nói đi là đi vậy sao em không tiếc bao năm đôi ta có nhau nói đi là đi vậy sao em không nhớ bao nhiêu yêu thương đã trao chúng ta đã tìm được nhau quá khó để giờ này mình mất nhau không lý do anh không chấp.
From the captain, Jason Dahm around Mark O'Keefe. So that was the comment there from our referee Luke Rogan saying bring that down. But right now Chicago, seems like almost every time they have possession they're scoring, Will. So you talk about strike rate inside of a green zone. You and I both know that that's one of your key statistics that you look at in the team room when you go back to those meetings during the week. And so far, every time they visited, they've been walking away with points.
They have indeed. Green zone, red zone? I'm never really sure which one it is. We'll go with whatever it is, but it was a try. Nonetheless, as you say, as Hilsenbeck gets this one up. Any questions whether that did go over? It is not. So, Chicago Hounds 3 tries, none of them converted to Vida Lepetti. He is such an exciting player. I've always enjoyed watching Lepetti. We take a look there at what was a high tackle from Jason Darn, but he gets the job done. Lepetti is brilliant in space, but he gets over the line from a meter.
Yeah, and what's that expression? You can step someone in a phone booth. I mean, that was never the way I played.
Not
Will.
me
I don't know about you
either.
either, but I couldn't make steps like that. But good thing Lopetti's out there making steps like that because he makes it look good. But Chicago right now, I will say, as you get a look at Taufete off the field, Chicago is going to be hurting a little bit because Hilsenbeck's missed all 3 of those conversion kicks. So they're leaving some points up on the board, which is not a good sign if you're a Chicago fan, because California right now, you know how they can be on offense, and when they get going, they can be really, really sharp.
De Haas will get this kick away. Beautifully high, hanging up in the air. Taken well, though, from Van Voot, the fullback for California Legion. Tonga Kofe had a spell at Leicester Tigers in the English Premiership this season. Finishing off his season here in Major League Rugby. Now Joe Mano skips out a 1 on the far edge. Big carry coming in from Timpson, but a massive hit by Casares, the USA international, causing the turnover. Billy Meeks has to go all the way back as Legion have to restart their attack. Mill will kick it long downfield. It looks as though that wind is probably in favour of California Legion, just the way that we've got some easy territory. Chicago now rebuild. Mike Petrie, 30 minutes have gone here. We're doing the commentary, we're stepping in. But what do you think so far? 30 minutes, home side have been really strong.
Both teams have actually been really strong in spurts. Chicago just more consistently so. And I mean, right now, inside the first 30 minutes of the game, you've got 4 tries scored between the 2 teams. That's exciting rugby. That's what people want to see as De Haas puts up an absolute bomb of a box kick right at midfield. We talked about his kicking game. That's one of the most exciting things. That ball goes up in the air. That is such a fun aerial battle. But this one, again, going to fall in favor of Chicago. They've got a lot of momentum right now, Will.
Can't clear someone out around the neck. Croc roll is what Luke Roden said. That is why it's the penalty. Rugby is a ferocious sport. I remember talking once to, I'm sure some people will know him, he was a former US Navy SEAL and a leadership extraordinaire, the one and only Jocko Willings. I don't know if you know of Jocko, do go and look him up. He is an incredible human being. He explained rugby, and he said to me one word when he watched it: savage. Is that right?
I think it depends where you play, to be honest. But you know what? Overall, I think it's organized. I think savage takes it to a different level. I think organized is a good way to describe it. But I mean, the display of athleticism from every single player that steps on the
Đến
field.
con chó còn được đi biển, con người thì đi bán mình cho tư bản.
Ball comes in there for Chicago. If they get a 4th try, they'll be already a bonus point for their name. The maul comes to a bit of a standstill. But
Đến con chó còn được đi biển, con người thì đi bán.
So key in this matchup, going literally into his opposite man, Billy Meeks. England versus Australia in the midfield. This is the Canadian Flesh who gets another go forward. It just keeps going, the momentum with the Hounds. It's nothing fancy, but they get close once more to the California Legion line. Pick and go. Penalty advantage this for Chicago Hounds, but they keep it with the forwards. Turn any decision he might have here, Mike Petrie. It's a talking to.
as we line this one up from the far touchline.
Milne gets this up and no movement on the ball there, so it drifts wide. And for Legion, talk about where the momentum seemed all with Chicago in this last 15 or so minutes, and then way to just turn it. The mistake from the Hounds and allows California just to come back into this game before the end of the halftime break.
They've literally just been handing it off back and forth. It's like, here's the energy, you take it. Here's the energy, no, I don't want it, you take it. They have just been trading tries, with the exception of, like you said, that little bit of momentum that Chicago had where they scored 2 in a row. But right now, this game has been back and forth, and that's what I love about this. This is exactly what we expected from these two teams.
Tackle, let go.
The last 90 seconds in the opening half from Chicago. For Sunday Night Rugby here, Major League Rugby 2026 season. The brand new California Legion trail 12 points to 22 against the Chicago Hounds. Simple penalty, and to be honest, Mike, when you look at this game, you look at the reflection of the first half, Hounds have been dominant, particularly through the middle section of the first 40 minutes. But actually, it's the ill discipline from Chicago that has just allowed Legion to still be in this game. Try early on and then try just a moment ago from penalties.
You've got to imagine that that's going to be a theme in both of these locker rooms in about a minute's time. As soon as they walk in the door, discipline is going to be the key. Corbers will be talking to coaches afterwards, and they'll be saying discipline is a theme because each team is just gifting territory and opportunities to the other, one after the other, and all of it due to penalties.
Last 30 seconds or so in this first half.
Move, 8.
Carried by Jason Dahm. So much work he's had in this opening 40 minutes of Sunday Night Rugby. Bertrand to Poitevin.
No, he tried,
San Diego Legion star. Cox in the red.
Away.
Kenny Nasingenge gets over the line for the Legion. They mount an attack. A big shot coming in from Charlie Abel.
Stop, not.
Is this the last play of the first half? Brock Webster kicks it high.
Contest.
The ball's still in play. It's not the end of the first half yet. And on cue, the commentator's curse.
Half time.
That brings an end to our first 40 minutes. Chicago Hounds have the lead 22 points to 12 against California Legion. Mike Petrie, what are your thoughts on that first half?
6 tries scored, 4 by Chicago, 2 for California. Will I
clear the air on that as California gains halfway. There is Bertrand spinning it free. He and Ruben DeHaas met in a World Cup match back in 2019, head-to-head here tonight. 2 of the most decorated international players in Major League Rugby. So Bree, Chicago here, what's important for them, they're up 22-12 here. They look pretty impressive despite dealing with a couple of yellows and a lot of penalties.
Yeah, they've been very efficient and they've had a high-octane attack. But the discipline, as you mentioned, we know that they had 7 penalties in the first half, and that rolls into the second point, which is if you give penalties to them, then you know that California is going to take advantage, go for the mauls when they can, and their driving maul is so potent, but here they go on the attack.
Here comes Chicago now with some pace. Ball down on the floor. Gathered in over there on that far side by Mark O'Keefe. Mark O'Keefe with a bulldozing run there. O'Keefe, a tough customer. He scored last week in the victory over Anthem. How about Anthem 2-1 now with a big win today at home against Seattle. Quickly to it is DeHaas. Moved on by Hilsenbeck. Lepetti in there on the clean out. Little chip through there by Ruben DeHaas. Trying to get in there is Webster. Up against their own line, but Luke Rogan with a whistle. We're going to come back and reset here for the penalty call.
Yeah, and off the screen too, I believe that is Jones.
It is, yes.
Who is just getting up after getting some medical attention there. He will jog back though to join his squad. See what Chicago tends to do here.
Well, the wind's been a problem here. Hilsenbeck's missed a couple of kicks, so they're going to go for the line out here.
Yeah, and look, in the first half, the weather really did kind of stave off. I mean, I think we were expecting a lot more rain. It's gusty here. That certainly played into it, but I think, you know, both teams are just happy with how the conditions have played out so far.
Yeah, the rain, for the most part, is moved past here. We're about 15 miles away from downtown Chicago, due west of downtown. We can see it outside of our nice broadcast booth here. It's the size of a condominium. Little discussion, some subs coming into the match now for California. And again, Christian Poitevin lost for this match and more. As they'll change up at that loose head position. Muti comes in now for the California Legion, coached by Steve Hoyles. Chris Latham, the Chicago Hounds head coach. Off to a 1-0 start. California 1-1, but a potent offense last week. But tonight so far, they've been held in pretty good check here by a gritty, tough, physical Chicago side. Here's the push now. The Hounds trying to get another one home, and the massive humanity in there. Luke Rogan on the right there, gets in there. And Rogan saying, hang on a minute.
Yeah, just gonna hold up the play. There are so many bodies, and they're really difficult to see where the ball is. But massive momentum from Chicago off of that.
So he is counting that as a try, and Abel and company able to power it home. Chicago extending the lead here. Kick coming, it's 27-12 now.
Look, picking up right where they left off in the first half. Just putting it to their throats and putting on more points. Really, it came off of just gain line after gain line. We know that Chicago is so good at that. They lead the league in gain line success rate. They're going to look to continue that right after this kick.
Chris Hilsenbeck gets it on the tee. Led the league last year with 109 points. 83% he was. Came into the match with 6 points, 3 of 4. But again, the wind wreaking havoc on the kicking game tonight. See if he can stick this one. The wind has calmed a little bit here at SeatGeek Stadium. Strike with that right, and that's a beautiful kick. We got a great vantage point. Hilsenbeck is money there, right down Michigan Avenue. 29-12, Chicago.
Beautiful kick there, and now, just as we were talking about it, the rain is starting to come down.
Jinxed it. Big Charlie Abel helping get that one home. The Hounds had the bonus point in the first half, and you look at this side, Bree, and the makeup of it. You've got DeHaas and Hilsenbeck, two outstanding players at 9 and 10. They got a bunch of veteran guys up front, led by Rumble and Flesh and Jones and guys like that, and Charlie Abel as well, and good set of backs. They're a dangerous team. Many think they could win this whole thing and be playing here the last match of the year in June.
Yeah, and it's all about the Chicago way, the grittiness that they play with.
Yep.
Just putting pressure on here. We can get back to that in a second, but now looking to see how they can counter.
Here's Webster. So dynamic is Brock Webster.
No, play on.
Just yanked down there, quickly getting the ball into the hands of Ruben DeHaas. 44 caps for Ruben with the USA Eagles, making his debut in that match I mentioned against Bertrand back in 2019. His 21st birthday. Here's Webster again. He's dangerous. Webster puts his head right into the chest there of Kobe Milne. Advantage, says Luke Rogan, for the Hounds of Chicago.
Brock Webster just so slippery. We just saw him in action right in the middle of the field, and then, of course, doing the work on the sideline. But we'll go the penalty. Very reminiscent of what we just saw a few minutes ago, Ben.
Yeah, very much so, as Hilsenbeck with a pretty good kick down there. And here's a look back, Bree.
Now this time just runs out of room, so has to go into the contact with Milne, but that's where they go back for the initial penalty. So Luke Rogan blows that one up. Chicago taking their time, going in.
Yeah, line's yours, line's yours.
There's substitutions being made as well.
So that last passage that ended in the try for Chicago, Abel was in the mix, but it was Piffoletti that got the try for Chicago.
Okay.
And they now lead it 29-12 here.
I understand. Just don't,
Front row changes here for the California Legion. Fresh off that big win over New England last week at home. Well, their home wanders all over the state. If you're new to the league, they're going to play 5 home matches all over the state. They played down in San Diego last week in
Time back on.
Torero Stadium, University of San Diego. Line out here for the Hounds, trying to stick another one in the tri-zone and extend the lead here in the 47th minute. Rogan had the arm in the air. Wants him to get going. DeHaas pulls it free, plays that ball inside into the hands there of Ali Devoto. Luke White, another veteran, one of those big boys up front we mentioned for Chicago.
Oh, let it come.
Great experience in this league and around the world for Luke White. DeHaas letting the big boys go at it here. Why not? It's worked all night. Another pick here by Lucas Rumble. He had a massive first half with 2 tries. Canadian international and multi-year captain of the Chicago side. California, though, getting the victory down here, and they're coming up with the ball after a knock-on break.
Oh man, that's a big win, and you can see the frustration there on Fury's face. Just the messages there to Captain Rumble, not happy with that one, but that was big for California. They had to stay in the fight here. Just 7 minutes in the second half, but 17 points down. You got to chip away at this difference, and it starts with this scrum here. Keep that possession, get into the attacking half.
Yeah, the top offensive side through, albeit 2 weeks, California came into this match, but thus far they've been held to a dozen. Surprised by that?
I don't know. I think that's kind of what we might be expecting.
The old saying back in the day, the monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears, and blue collar, cold weather, windy city, and a lot of toughness in this city, and that's another win.
Too far extended. Collapsing.
There's the call from Rogan, so it's a call going the way of
Sure, it's behind the 5, please.
Milne and the Legion.
Yeah, 2 front row wins back to back. It was Taufete'e who had that big tackle to force that turnover. And then the big guys getting it done, drawing the penalty. Now they get to relieve some pressure. If you're newer to rugby, when you have the penalty, one of the options is you can go to touch. You kick it out, looks kind of different from what you might see in other sports, but you are rewarded with the ball wherever the ball crosses the sideline. So now they have a little bit more breathing room, and now they can execute off this line out.
Good stuff from you, Bree. And here's the veteran, Joe Taufete'e. That line out, Jason Dahm, Captain America up to get it, captain the USA Eagles for about a half dozen matches last season. Now a chase, and it's taken away by Chicago. Good job getting in there and coming up with that ball by Hilsenbeck in tight quarters, and he made a nice play there.
Just some extra words being exchanged. I'm not sure that I loved that decision, though. You saw the nice little chip kick right over that first layer of the Chicago defense, but could have been a little bit deeper, I think, just not quite executed, but that ball does not go out of bounds.
No, he doesn't. A big return here. Ryan James, this guy can fly. Came into the match tonight, leading the league with over 250 meters gained so far this season. An absolute lightning bolt is Ryan James, San Diego, California native. Now the Legion look to get something going here. Kenny Nasagenge, the carry there. Jason Dahm in to help out. Bertranu wants to get this ball into his hands and send it skyward, and does just that. Charge down from his counterpart, DeHaas. Take back there. This is Webster again. Always a home run threat. He just got popped. Big time hit there on Brock Webster. Part of the beautiful part of this sport, those big physical hits. Now Bertranu picks it up. California now looking to get something going. Down 29-12 here into the 51st minute.